This is creamy garlic beef with an incredible homemade sauce. You get 5 portions, it's high protein and really easy to make. This right here is everything we're going to need for today's recipe, and all of the equipment used in this video is also listed in the description. All right, starting out, we've got a whole load of vegetables that we want to roast up. This is going to take the longest, so we'll start off with that and then get them in the oven, and then we can do everything else. What I have here is 4 large tomatoes. Just go through and quarter these. Depending on the size, you can just half them, but these are quite large, so I'll quarter them down. Makes it easier to cook. We're then going to need 2 red bell peppers or capsicums. I'm going to slice these in half and then just pick out that pith and seeds. Just bang it on the bench to make sure all of those excess seeds come out. And we're also going to need 1 whole bulb of garlic, and this can just be sliced directly in half, like so. Get them onto an oven tray lined with parchment paper, and I'm going to add 100 grams or 3.5 ounces of cherry tomatoes. For a little bit more sweetness, you can use regular tomatoes over that if you prefer not to buy both. Drizzle these up with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, roughly 2 tablespoons worth. Season with 2 teaspoons of Italian herbs. These are dried Italian herbs. 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. 1 teaspoon of dried chili flakes, completely optional, you don't have to use them. Season them with a little bit of salt to taste and a little bit of cracked black pepper. With clean hands, just go through and mix that around. Just make sure all of the seasoning is coating everything and that oil is over all of the ingredients. And then we're going to roast these in the oven for about 30 to 40 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius or 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And you can do this in an air fryer if you prefer, and I have instructions about that in the description. In the meantime, we'll get a pot of water onto our stovetop and place this over a high heat, bringing it up to a boil. Generously season it with salt. It doesn't need to taste like ocean water though. And then drop in 500 grams or 1.1 pounds of any of your favorite pasta. For me, I'm using Fusilli. Give it a quick stir just to make sure nothing's clumped up, and then we're going to cook this for 1 minute less than the packet instructions. And I'm actually going to move this out of the way and put it onto another burner. Now in a large pan, place this over a high heat and get the pan nice and hot. When you start to see it slightly smoke, we can just add in a touch of spray oil. And then we're going to add in 1 kilo or 2.2 pounds of lean beef mince, and this is 5% fat. Spread it out so it's not sitting on top of one another. And we're going to let this sit for a couple of minutes just to build up a crust. And we want this to stay over a high heat. That way we can get that nice color on it and the meat's not going to stew in its own juices. During this stage, we can also add in 2 teaspoons of dried Italian herbs, 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, and 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. Season to taste with a little bit of salt, and of course cracked black pepper, about 20 cracks worth. After a couple of minutes, just start mixing this around, make sure all of that seasoning's thoroughly mixed through, and we can start folding that beef over as well. I'm going to cook this for about 6 to 7 minutes, or even 8 minutes, but what we want is for that moisture to evaporate, and we want to get that nice sizzling sound back and that crust to form. Right now, you can obviously hear through the microphone that there's not much sound happening. That's because a lot of that moisture is coming out and slowly evaporating, but once that's all gone, that heavy sizzle sound will come back. Also, just coming over to the pasta real quick, this is now done. It's cooked for 1 minute less than the packet instructions. This can be removed and drained through a sieve, but we're going to reserve a little bit of that pasta water. Now we're starting to get our sizzle back, which is exactly what we want, and that's where the browning's going to start happening. Just keep mixing this around until it's no longer pink and that seasoning is thoroughly mixed through everything. However, once that's done, you have a nice browned off meat. It's seasoned well. We can remove this and place it to the side for the time being. While we wait, I do have an optional ingredient, which is a little bit of flat leaf parsley. There's no specific weight for this. If you do want to use it, just go through and roughly chop. It's going to be used as a garnish. We can fold this through the beef and pasta mix as well if you wanted to. But like I said, I'm just going to use it as a garnish. However, when that's done, you should have something that looks like this. So now after about 40 minutes, our vegetables are done. These look absolutely incredible. What you should have is these beautiful roasted tomatoes that are just falling apart, as well as that garlic. You have that really nice color on there, and when you squeeze this, it's just going to ooze out. It's going to be absolutely delicious. As for the capsicums or bell peppers, I do recommend peeling off the skins, because when we go to blend this, we don't want that to go through the blender. You'll have those little stringy bits, and it's not going to be that smooth. If you don't know how to remove the skins, they should have blistered when we're cooking them, so you can just get a pair of tongs, and you should be able to peel it off, just like so. If not, you can place these in a bowl, cover them with a little bit of cling wrap, and then allow them to steam, and that way you can peel the skin off super easy. Now, once you have all of that done, this is slightly cooled down a little bit. We can add all of this into a blender, and make sure you scrape any of the parchment paper, because all of that is extra flavor on there. Then with that garlic, just make sure you squeeze it all out and get all of that in there. This is absolutely delicious, by the way. Add in 150 grams or 5.2 ounces of light cream cheese or high protein cottage cheese. Add in about 35 grams or 1.2 ounces of Parmesan cheese. We're going to use a little bit of this at the end as well. Of course, if you are tracking your macros, then do weigh this out, but if you don't really care too much, just go as much as you like. Place on a lid, and then we can blend this up on a high speed until it's nice and smooth. All right, with that done, we'll just remove that lid. Now we need to give it a taste, and it is quite thick as well. As you can see, it's quite thick. Add in just a touch of salt, a little bit more cracked black pepper, about 10 cracks worth. We'll chuck on that lid, and then we'll use that reserved pasta water just to slightly thin it down a little bit. But don't add too much because you can always add, but you can't take out. Blend this again on a high speed, and what we're looking for is that nice pourable but thick consistency. Once you're happy with it, this is then done. Just double check it for seasoning one last time. All right, so with all of that done, we can start layering it into a large bowl, starting with that pasta. Add in all of the beef and any pan juices or resting juices. Add in all of that sauce that we just made. This is where all of the flavor is, by the way, so make sure you scrape it all out of there. And I forgot to say as well, if you don't have just a regular blender, you can do it in an immersion blender too. An optional ingredient is just to add a little bit of that flat leaf parsley. And all we need to do is start mixing this all together, making sure everything is coated in that sauce. One of the main reasons I'm doing it in a bowl instead of doing it in a pan with the beef and then reducing the sauce down is because when you're using cream cheese or cottage cheese, if you get it hot, it's going to split and then go grainy. It just doesn't look good and it's not very nice. You can also adjust the consistency with any reserved pasta water too, just to make it a little bit more saucy if you prefer. What we're looking for is something that looks like this. Now, as far as serving up goes, this makes 5 portions in 750 milliliter containers, and I have a link for these containers in the description. Depending on how you like to portion these, you can just go by eye, or you can weigh it all individually. That way, everything is exactly the same weight. And they're roughly about 400 to 450 grams each portion. We'll then go through with that remaining Parmesan cheese. Let's go straight over the top. Of course, if you're planning on freezing these, just do this after you've reheated them. But with all the meal preps I do, I like to show you what the finished look actually looks like. And what we're left with is 5 portions of this delicious pasta. That sauce is absolutely incredible. And this is the macros for a single portion. With everything portioned out, let them cool down for about 15 to 20 minutes. Place it on the lids. They'll go in the fridge for up to 4 days and in the freezer for up to 3 months. Your best bet for reheating is going to be a microwave, and you can add a splash of water or stock to rehydrate. So with all said and done, we can then dig in. That sauce is absolutely incredible, and this is an absolutely delicious dish.